Welcome to Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? This is your go-to source for practical advice and support when considering if a divorce is the right answer for you. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll uncover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore the emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here is your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Hello and welcome to Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today is going to be one of those unique episodes where I'm going to actually just kind of wing a topic, if you will. And it's not something that I really have to wing as I've gone through the divorce process myself, but I just want to, kind of go through a little bit on considering a divorce from just the personal standpoint of things and what it's like and such. So I don't have an outline or anything to go by. So we're just going to go where the thoughts take us. But the first thing I want to just say is really that, if divorce is the path, divorce is the path. You shouldn't have to be unhappy. You shouldn't have to be in a terrible relationship if you don't want to. And yes, if there's kids involved, it's very challenging. I have kids myself. And so there is a lot to think about and there's a lot to process. And it's not normally a decision you come up with on the spur of the moment. It's not usually a heated thing. Usually by the time you reach the decision or somebody says they want a divorce, they've given it a lot of careful consideration and a lot of thought already. And there's been a lot of pieces that have gone into it. I do recommend that you maybe try couples counseling kind of thing, because sometimes it's not as bad as you think. The other person is willing to change or adjust, and you're also willing to change and adjust. I mean, that's a relationship. It doesn't matter if you're married or if you're looking for another person after you are divorced. There's always things that you have to work on communication wise, compromise. Not everybody's going to get along perfectly all the time. You're better suited with some people than others, but outside of that, I mean, the reality is couples counseling, could actually be the right key to unlocking how you guys communicate and get along and reconcile differences and such. I also like to say, and I didn't say this at the beginning, but I am not an advocate for divorce. It is a brutal process. It is very challenging, difficult, emotionally taxing, the whole nine yards. Even the most amicable divorces a lot of times are still very stressful. There's a lot of stress. And so when you look at going through the process and getting it and considering it, that's why I always say, check all the boxes of everything first before you reach the final verdict of actually filing for divorce. Because once that happens, it's going to get tough for a while. But at the end of it, and you get through it, things will be better. They will. They tend to be better, after you get through the process kind of thing. So all in all, nobody wants to get divorced. And I always say pay special attention to how you feel. And, you're going to have a lot of communication, especially if you have kids. You're going to have a lot of communication with just your family members. You're going to have a lot of communication, a lot of things. You don't hide it. Get out in front of it. Talk about it, because that in and of itself actually helps relieve the stress. Self-care is very important. You got to find a way to have an outlet, whether it's exercise, meditation, reading a book, whatever it is, walking around the neighborhood, down the street. Make sure you take care of yourself. And, like many things, it'll be difficult, but it'll get easier. And so, I wish you the best of luck on your journey and the choices that you make with regards to this. And I also know that, you won't take making this decision lightly, because none of us do that have been through the divorce process itself. And with that, I do want to thank you for listening to all the episodes. It's, it's good information. And, I wish I had some of that information when I was going through the divorce process, just to bone up on and understand and such as well. So I do appreciate you, liking the videos, also just, sharing them with other people who may be in a similar situation. So that's going to wrap up today's episode of Breaking Ties. Is Divorce the Answer? A little bit different here, but all in all, have yourself a great day and take care. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Ties. Is Divorce the Answer? I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. So today's topic, all right, is a topic that really affects not just the couples involved in divorce, but also their children. We're going to explore the complex landscape of divorce when it comes to making decisions about higher education for our kids. Now, I don't have to tell you, or you can even, I'm sure you can imagine, divorce is never an easy decision. And when children are involved, it really does add another layer of complexity. And as parents, we want, what's best for our kids. And often their education plays a significant role in our decision-making process. So what happens when the crucial juncture of college education coincides with the challenging path of divorce? First, I want to stress it's important to acknowledge the emotional toll divorce takes on both parents and the kids. Okay? Can't overlook the kids. The process itself can be overwhelming. And amidst the emotional turbulence, decisions about the future, they can become a little more challenging. Now, when it comes to college, parents might have different perspectives on what's best for their child. So we're going to start with considering the financial aspect. College is a substantial investment, and in the midst of a divorce, financial resources may be strained. Questions about who will contribute, how much, and what impact it will have on both parents' financial stability can complicate an already difficult situation. Now, one key factor to keep in mind here is that, communication is paramount. Co-parenting doesn't stop at the divorce papers. It's an ongoing process. Open, honest communication between parents is really, you really want that. You want to make it an important part when it comes to decisions about your children's education. And this includes discussions about funding, choosing the right college, and how to provide emotional support during this transitional period. Moreover, it's essential to consider the child's perspective. They might be navigating their own emotional challenges while facing the pressures of making decisions about their future. Parents need to create a supportive environment where their child feels heard and understood. And this may involve involving them in the decision-making process. Doesn't say you can't, they're able to discuss options and, address their concerns at the same time. Now, it's also worth noting that divorced parents may have different opinions about the choice of college or career path for their child. Balancing these differing perspectives requires compromise and a focus on what truly benefits the child in the long run. Remember, the child is going to also be an age of adults, so they will even have a say in the matter. Sometimes it's better to support them and let them do their thing as opposed to telling them what they're going to do. Legal considerations here, during this whole thought process is another aspect that can't be ignored. When divorced, custody arrangements may come into play, potentially affecting decisions about where the child will go to college. Understanding the legal implications and seeking professional advice can help parents navigate these complexities. Wrapping up today, the decision about a child's college education during a divorce is really multifaceted. It involves emotional, financial, legal, and interpersonal considerations. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a challenging journey, as you can imagine, and requires some empathy, compromise, and a commitment to putting the child's well-being at the forefront. I'd like to thank you for joining me today on this episode of Breaking Ties. Is Divorce the Answer? Should you have any questions on today's topics or financial planning issues in general, happy to help. Contact information is in the description. Give me a call, shoot me an email. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until next time, all the best. Hello, and welcome back to Breaking Ties Is Divorce the Answer? I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today we're going to dive into a topic that, is often be challenging as the emotional aspects of the divorce itself. I mean, we got financial implications, and particularly the question of what happens to debt when a couple decides to call it the end. Now, divorce, as we know, is a complex process, and it involves dividing not only assets, but the debts too. Wouldn't it be nice if they just all disappeared? But that's not the case. So it's critical to understand that when a couple separates, the financial ties are really not automatically severed. Debts acquired during the marriage are typically considered marital debts, and they must be addressed during the divorce proceedings. So let's go ahead and break down different types of debt. So common examples really include things like your mortgage, credit card debt, car loans, student loans. So the approach to handling each type really may vary, and it largely depends on factors such as jurisdiction, individual circumstances, and the agreements made during the divorce itself. Now, one option is really for both parties to work together and come to a mutual agreement on how to divide the debts. This could involve paying off joint debts before finalizing the divorce or deciding on a fair division of specific debts. It's really going to take a lot of open communication. And that's probably the biggest key during this whole process, is to ensure that both parties are on the same page. However, in some cases, couples may not be able to reach an agreement on debt division. So when this happens, the court may step in to make decisions based on the laws of the jurisdiction. The court will consider such factors as each party's financial situation, contributions, to the debts itself, and other relevant circumstances. Uh, you know, just got to be careful, because whatever the court says happens. It's important to note that even if a divorce decree assigns responsibility for a particular debt to one party, creditors may still pursue the other party if the responsible party fails to meet their obligations. I mean, if your ex-spouse doesn't make the payments and you are on the account, the creditors are really going to hold you accountable as well. They don't care that you're divorced. So this is why it is critical to close joint accounts and establish clear agreements to avoid financial complications down the road. You're going to want everything split. You don't want to leave anything in each other's names, kind of thing, to where your credit could be impacted or creditors could come after you. Another aspect to consider is the impact, that the divorce has on your credit scores. Joint debts can influence both parties' credit scores, and it's essential to take steps to protect yourself. And like I said before, you closing those accounts may be the best way to do it. And so you want to make sure that you are paying attention to your credit report. In conclusion, addressing debts during a divorce is actually a major aspect of the financial separation process. Whether through mutual agreement or court intervention, couples must navigate the complexities of dividing debts to ensure a fair and equitable distribution. So I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Breaking Ties Is Divorce the Answer? Should you have any questions on today's topic, please feel free to reach out to me. Email, call, my information's in the description. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Take care. Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties Is Divorce the Answer? I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. So today we're going to tackle a, pretty critical aspect of the divorce process, probably one of the most important pieces, which is the marriage settlement agreement. What is it and how does it work, when you're considering getting a divorce? So let's go ahead and get right into it. A marriage settlement agreement, often referred to as a divorce settlement or separation agreement, is a legally binding document that outlines the terms and conditions of the divorce. It serves really as a comprehensive roadmap, detailing out how various aspects of the marriage will be resolved. Now, what does it cover? Well, A marriage settlement agreement typically addresses key areas such as property division, spousal maintenance, or as it's known as alimony as well, child custody and visitation, child support, and any other relevant issues unique to the couple's situation. I mean, it really is a comprehensive finalization of everything. One of the primary advantages of a marriage settlement agreement is that it allows couples to have more control over their divorce proceedings. Instead of leaving critical decisions to the court, which they may or may not side with you, couples can work together to reach mutually agreeable terms. This can lead to a more amicable and less adversarial process where, it helps in things after the divorce as well. Now, the process of creating this marriage settlement agreement involves a lot of open communication, and there's going to be some negotiation between the spouses. It's an opportunity for both parties to express their needs and concerns to work, towards a resolution that is really fair and equitable. And that's what the court's after. Let's break down some of the key components though, okay? Property division outlines how assets and debts acquired during the marriage will be distributed. This can include things like real estate, bank accounts, investments, and other personal property. Spousal maintenance details whether one spouse will provide financial support to the other so that they have a similar standard of living. And then it's also going to declare like the amount and duration of that type of support. Child custody and visitation arrangements address the living situation and visitation schedule for any children involved. Child support, as it sounds like, really just outlines the financial responsibilities of each parent to support the well-being of the children. Now, these components, among others, help create a comprehensive agreement that covers various aspects of the divorce and helps things get finalized. It is important to note, though, that the marriage settlement agreement is a binding document, and once both parties have agreed and signed it, it becomes the final divorce decree. So this means that failure to comply with the terms can actually have legal ramifications. Now, while a marriage settlement agreement provides a framework for the divorce, it's recommended that each party, seek legal counsel. Find an attorney, a divorce attorney who specializes in what you need. And it's really there to ensure your rights are protected. Legal professionals can also offer guidance, review the agreement, and provide insights into potential consequences. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to emphasize the importance of approaching the creation of a marriage settlement agreement with, a lot of care and even more probably consideration. It's really the major step in the divorce process that can impact the lives of both party and children involved, long after the divorce decree is actually finalized. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties. Is Divorce the Answer? Should you have any questions on today's topic or other financial planning issues, I'm happy to answer those for you. So my contact information is in the description. Feel free to call, email. I'll do what I can. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until next time, take care. Hello, and welcome back to Breaking Ties. Is Divorce the Answer? I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today we're going to dive into a critical aspect of the divorce process, discovery. So what is discovery and why is it important when considering a divorce? Well, let's unravel the details. So, discovery in the context of divorce is really nothing more than the legal process through which each spouse gathers information and evidence from the other to build a comprehensive understanding of the marital assets, liabilities, and any other really relevant factors. It's like peeling back the layers to reveal the financial and personal landscape of the marriage. Now, why is discovery so important? Well, divorce is not just an emotional separation, it's also a legal and financial one. So discovery ensures transparency and fairness by allowing both parties to access the necessary information to make informed decisions about property division or spousal maintenance or child custody and other critical matters that come up during the legal process itself. Now let's break down some of the common methods of discovery. We have interrogatories, which really involve written questions that each spouse must answer under oath. This helps in gathering information about income, assets, debts, and other financial details. Requests for production of documents allows parties to request specific documents such as bank statements, tax returns, and property records, all part of the process. Now, depositions, on the other hand, are oral questioning under oath, typically conducted by the attorneys themselves. So, this allows for a more interactive exploration of the facts, and it can be a useful tool to uncover hidden assets or understand the reasoning behind certain decisions. Discovery is not just about financial matters, though. It also extends to the personal aspects of the marriage. In child custody cases, for example, discovery may include interviews, home visits, and assessments to determine the best interest of the child, because that's really what the court cares about. Now, one key benefit of the discovery process is that it promotes fairness and prevents one party from having an undue advantage. So, kind of like leveling the playing field, ensuring that both spouses have access to the same information. This, in turn, facilitates more equitable negotiations and settlements. So, all in all, fair is fair. While discovery is a valuable tool, it is essential to approach it with a cooperative mindset. Okay. Excessive adversarial behavior during the divorce process can lead to increased legal costs, prolonged proceedings, and heightened emotional stress for both parties until things wrap up. The importance of discovery becomes particularly evident when there is a lack of trust between spouses, or when one party suspects the other of concealing assets. Discovery acts as a safeguard as best as possible, promoting honesty and transparency in the divorce proceedings. In conclusion, discovery is a crucial step in the divorce process, as we've outlined above. It provides the necessary information for both parties to make informed decisions, promote fairness, and helps prevent potential conflicts down the road. However, it's important to approach this phase with a collaborative mindset to ensure a smooth transition. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? Should you have any questions on this topic or other financial planning issues I can assist with, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the description. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until next time, have a good day.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? With Mike Fulkerson. For questions, please reach out to Mike via email in the description or give him a shout at 630-444-1410. And remember to subscribe, like, and follow.